Hey everybody, Norm here. This week's episode of Still Untitled is brought to you by Backblaze. They're a great backup service. I actually use them myself. Even if you have a time machine for your Mac or a local backup system, that's not really backing things up. You need to have multiple copies. So I use Backblaze as my offsite backup service. They work for both Mac and PCs, and you can restore files individually, or you can have them send a USB hard drive for you to restore your files. No throttling for uploads. They have great native apps on the PC and Mac. Works with iPhone and Android as well to see what you've backed up. And there's no add-ons, gimmicks, or additional charges. Just $5 a month, unlimited, unthrottled online backup for your local hard drives and even your connected NAS drives, your USB drives, as well, your external drives. So listeners of Still Entitled can get a 2-week free trial by going to backblaze.com/Still Untitled. That's the name of this podcast, all connected together. That's backblaze.com/Still Untitled. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Good morning.
Good evening. We did that like 2 years ago, yeah.
Sorry.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Everybody's doing great. I'm doing great.
Norm?
The most relaxed I've ever been.
Really?
No, I'm just
Are you
saying.
taking
Doing
medicine?
great, yeah.
Are you medicated now?
Nope.
Okay.
Wait, I have a thing I'm going to play with during this podcast. Wait right there.
Okay. We'll just sit
Awesome.
here and wait.
It's not a snowpocalypse here in San Francisco, and I know many people on the East Coast and around the country. It is a crazy ass blizzard. Did you guys see the video of Casey Neistat and what he did in the
The
snowpocalypse?
snowboarding?
No, what did he do?
He did skiing and snowboarding
Oh, that's him.
off the back of a
yeah,
truck.
I saw that was happening. Of course,
New
that's
York.
Casey. That makes all the sense in
Yes,
the world.
and the cop stopped them. And the video is great because it ends with the cop stopping him, and then the cop pulls up, and they're like, "Oh, we're in trouble." And the cop says, "Someone was complaining about you, so pretend we're talking to each other."
You know, when I worked in a restaurant, that was a repeated thing. Of the owner would come over to me, Russ. I worked in this restaurant in Tarrytown, New York, called Horse Feathers, which I believe might
God.
still be there. Yeah.
I worked in a restaurant in Bristol, Tennessee called Bull Feathers.
Well, there you go.
What is with the feathers?
This Horse Feathers was a literary themed restaurant.
Oh, this was a drinking-themed restaurant.
And it was owned by Russ and Suzanne, and they were this very far out and amazing couple in Tarrytown, New York. They had opened years before in the late 60s, I think, the very first head shop in Westchester County.
Wow.
Now they ran this restaurant, and Russ would come up to me and he'd go, "Hey, get up on a chair and pretend to adjust the air conditioning." And I'd be like, "Why?" And he'd be like, some dumbass is complaining that it's too cold and too hot, something. It won't change the temperature in here before they leave, so just pretend to change it.
We always had that.
Wow.
We always had the mostly old ladies who were secretaries at the hospital would come in for lunch, and they were always good for at least a nickel tip. But they would ask for fresh coffee every time they came in. So it got to the point that I saw them coming, put a fresh pot of coffee on. You'd bring it over and they'd say, "This coffee tastes old. Will you make a fresh pot for us?" And I'd say yes. I'd go take their coffee, dump it out, pour the other coffee, the same coffee right back in, take it back over to them, and yeah.
You know, Jezebel's cooking or restaurant site, Kitchenette, seems to have shut down, which makes me kind of sad.
I think they incorporated it all into the main site. A lot of that stuff. I don't know for sure.
Oh, did they?
A lot of those side kinges got rolled back up into the sites a few weeks ago.
It is the thing that makes me kind of sad, because it's one of the, like, reading about how crazy. Well, so I love reading about worst restaurant customers. Like, I can't stop reading about that. Have I already talked about this? In the podcast? Oh,
It's
okay.
just specifically restaurant customers, not like airplane passengers.
Well,
or-
so I'm a big fan of the Tumblr of passengershaming.com, of the flight attendants looking at people's nasty uncut toenails sitting on the seat in front of them. And it gets so much worse.
I had a
than
guy
that.
sitting next to me change a poopy diaper on the seat one time, and the flight attendant came over and was like, "Look, this isn't sanitary. There's changing tables in the bathroom. Do it in there."
Yeah, and the worst part is that I've seen photos of the poopy diaper stuck in the window pocket, the seat pocket of the seat in front of you.
No.
So
Yes.
I was thinking about this yesterday on the air because I flew back from Chicago last night, and I went to the bathroom 2 or 3 times on the flight because I drank a lot of coffee. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And every time I went to the bathroom, the person in front of me hadn't flushed the toilet, and it was the kind of sink that you have to push the drain to drain the water out after you wash your hands. So then there was a giant pool of water both times. Like in the old days, there used to be a little sign that said, wipe the sink out with a towel when you're done using that kind of sink, because it leaves a horrible, gross soap scum thing there. And it's just like common decency for the person who comes after you in what is already one of the most tense social circumstances.
And
most
flushing
people
the
live in.
toilet on the airplane is one of the coolest things. You see the vacuums.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that when I got food poisoning, and we did a piece on this, when I got food poisoning on my way to the Emmys a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I had to use 3 toilets in emergencies, and every single one had unfortunately very recently been used by somebody.
Who did not?
Who was foul?
Yeah.
At
Or
the
was it
Emmys.
No, sorry. The toilet at the Emmys was not one of those. The toilet
Okay.
at the TGI Fridays outside the Staples Center, that was nasty.
Okay.
The one off the 405, 10 miles before the Staples Center, that one was a Denny's. Holy shit, that one was so
Yeah,
bad.
Denny's bathroom's not
Oh
good.
man.
But at the Emmys, classy.
At the end,
Was there
I
an
sat
attendant?
there eating ice chips in the VIP room going, oh, look, it's Harvey Weinstein. I did find out at that wonderful, that I actually, you know how you don't remember the pain?
Yeah.
I don't remember feeling ill. I just remember discovering that Yardley Smith, who's the voice of Lisa Simpson, and I hope someday will be my best friend, curses like a sailor.
That's the best.
You need an
That's the
outlet.
best.
But restaurant customers.
So to go back, I read worst restaurant customer stories, and I read them with the same glee that anyone does about entitled crazy people. But then I also realize that we are systematically in this country destroying the middle class, and that there's a whole bunch of people that just think I need to get something for free. I need to screw somebody over to get something for free. So there's just a whole type of person who's like, well, if I complain, I'll get precisely what I want. And then they've built their identity around the I need the fresh cup of coffee because that's just the kind of precision person I am. And it ends up making me not mad at them. It just makes me a little sad.
So
Entitlement. Right.
But it's a very specific kind of, it's not even, I don't even think that's entitlement. I actually think that's some other psychological thing of, well, it's the scarcity model. The scarcity model
If someone's
is,
getting a fresh cup of coffee at some point of this day and I'm not, then they're getting the better of
right,
me.
coffee pot isn't a zero-sum game. Right? It's like if
put
Norm
that on
gets
a
a good cup
t-shirt.
of coffee, it doesn't mean I get a garbage cup of coffee. It means we both get this. To me, though, the larger issue, I mean, the entitlement thing is sad, frankly. People who are unkind to people who have bad jobs or unpleasant. They're not bad jobs. They're unpleasant jobs a lot of times. Customer-facing jobs, whether it's retail or waiting tables or whatever. And in this, when I say bad, I mean anything like, I think people who tip badly, like even if you have bad service at a restaurant, I tip.
yeah,
I always
don't tip badly, and also tip your pizza guy 20%, for Christ's
Yeah.
sake. But really, it is actually where your 20%. Like, if you're going to tip anyone, tip your delivery guy.
Yeah, the guy, he knows where you live first.
Frequently, they are delivering something, and it's $19.26, and this is more common than not. Someone says, "Keep the change, kid."
What?
That's like a movie thing.
No,
That's just a
it's
movie thing.
constant. You got to read. Actually, there was a website for a while. I don't know if it's still up, called tipthepizzaboy.com.
Well, the Pizza Boy AMAs on Reddit are great. Have you like tell us your worst pizza delivery story?
Dear Penthouse, I never thought I would be writing to you until last Tuesday night. It was a blizzard.
Well, there's also some great relationships between the people who make the pizza. Like if you know them and you ask big special requests, and then it's.
Listen, there's nothing better than building a relationship with. There's nothing better than building a relationship with people who are making great things with you, for you. You know, the restaurants. Anyway,
That's called a community.
So
It is.
So I was with the the food thing. Like people who don't work in food service don't understand this. When you're working at a restaurant, the waiter is at the tip of a fairly large, even at a small restaurant like a Fridays or a chain thing or something like that. The waiter is at the tip of a very large pyramid, right? Yeah. It's usually 3 layers deep, sometimes even a little bit longer. And if that person is the one that gets boned, because they're the one who is getting less than minimum wage typically to work, and generally they're expected to make up the difference in tips. And most of the time when there's a problem, occasionally there's just a terrible waiter. Even if the waiter seems like that person's bad, they can be at the end. They 3 people didn't show up that day because there was a storm or somebody's car died, or it's just a bad situation, and it's very rarely because they're trying to do a bad job or don't give a shit.
Oh God, no! Very rarely, very, very, very rarely.
I think less of people who tip poorly.
I do too. Everyone should work in the food service industry. My kids, we've talked about this. My kids' first summer job this last summer was in food service, and it's a great way to understand.
Did it change the way they went to
world.
restaurants? Their behavior?
Well, we have a funny relationship with restaurants because we're frequently going to a place where the restaurant knows who I am, and sometimes people get excited and they send out other stuff. And so I've always tried to tell them this isn't real. This is a passing thing. This is, this is really great. Therefore, if someone ever gives you a dish, I add that cost of the dish to the check and tip based on that, not on the number they've given me.
And that counts if they do like a make good too, right?
Oh,
like if the guy's like, "Hey, I'm sorry this is taking so long. Here's an extra beer." Then you tip based on the Anyway.
Look, also,
Anything
if you want some fun, get in the back of a taxi cab in Las Vegas and ask about celebrities who are shitty tippers. That driver will regale you with tales of cheap bastards all the way to your destination. And all I want is for someone to tell a story about the fact that I'm a great tipper. I want to go.
Who's
spread the word.
That
I'm ready
Savage.
to tip. Yeah. So speaking of inculcating your kids with good values, I went to an art show this weekend.
Where
At
was the art show?
Evergold Gallery. This is a full plug here. Evergold Gallery is a wonderful gallery in a very rough neighborhood, 441 O'Farrell.
It's not that rough anymore.
Oh, there were people mining the cracks of the sidewalk for crack
It's
cocaine.
in the Tenderloin.
I mean, okay, in that yes, it is not.
In the spirit of San Francisco,
In
mining.
the spirit of
Yeah,
San Francisco.
I used to go to a bar down there fairly regularly in the early 2000s.
In the 90s, I spent half of my life at Albion and 16th thinking that the world was my oyster, and that is still a terrible corner.
Yeah, it's still not. That's not a happy place.
But the point is taken. Even in San Francisco, among the Tenderloin and Tenderloin adjacent, there are a lot of hidden art galleries and great gems close to where the ACT or the Orpheum are. A lot of small art galleries around there.
Absolutely. And Evergold Gallery is a terrific little gallery, and they had a show of Satan Ceramics. Satan Ceramics is Mary Fry, Pat McCarthy, J.J. Pete, and Tom Sachs.
Tom's been posting about this a lot lately.
Yeah, and so they had an opening on Saturday night. The show is amazing. Like, it's really, really incredible. I don't even want to just tell you too much about it because the pieces in it are amazing. Go see it. Evergold is open, I think, Fridays and Saturdays. I'm not sure of their full schedule. They might be open more than that, so please check.
Can people see stuff online if they're not in San Francisco?
I
Or
think
San
they
Francisco
can.
adjacent?
I think
Okay.
they can. And Satan Ceramics is fairly well represented. These are all established artists with the ability to use social media really well.
Okay.
I got made. Tom had a station that he built there. He made me a cup of coffee and he made toast for people at the opening. Okay. My kids were there, thing 1 and thing 2, and got to hang out with Tom and his friends. And it was really, really, really fun evening. Super crowded. Obviously, people who like Tom's work and like my work, there's a great overlap. So there was a lot of really fun conversations there. And again, Tom is getting ready for a space program. He's bringing space program in September to the Yerba Buena Art Center here in San Francisco.
Can't wait for that.
We are super, super lucky as a city to get this, and Tested will be covering key parts of this as it continues. It's really exciting.
Was it the type of art gallery that feels a little intimidating to go into, or kind of welcoming?
No. It's not intimidating. It's not like a big white space like you run into at 49 Geary, where the big established art galleries in San Francisco tend to be housed. This is a small space. I'd say it's not much bigger than about 800 square feet.
Okay.
Do you find that art galleries are intimidating?
Some of them, yeah.
Really?
Absolutely. You can walk into somewhere, the stuff is indecipherable on the walls, and the people aren't going to help you feel good about looking at them or not liking them.
Or
Or
somebody with like a Romulan haircut.
I don't care how anybody
looks.
looks in there, but I totally get art galleries can be intimidating.
I mean, for me, oh, sorry, go ahead, Norm.
Oh, no, I just want to make another plug for an art gallery in L.A., Santa Monica, at the CoPro Gallery. That's on Michigan Avenue in Santa Monica. I've never been, but Mark Satrakian, who's a friend of Tested, and he's an animatronics designer. He also worked for BattleBots.
He did the.
Yes.
He
He has
does the
a
hands.
animatronic sculpture called the Axis, where it's the hand rotating the ball. You may have seen this if you saw BattleBots last season. But his newest version of that is now on display through February 6th.
Oh no, I'm totally gonna
In
go.
Santa Monica.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I love these little galleries. They need your support.
And like, it's okay to just go and look.
Absolutely.
Like, my intimidation from art galleries always came from going in and feeling like if I was not there to buy something, then I was wasting their time. Which is, I think this is throws back, like ties around to the retail thing.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, potentially, absolutely.
But people are fine with just looky-loos coming in to appreciate, because, you know, the person who appreciates now may be a person who buys in 5, 10, 20 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for plugging the art gallery, because it was perfect. Speaking of plugs, we got a great response for the plug you gave on a video we released last week.
My
For
plug for the Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray for The Martian. I was trying to tie it together.
I love
Got
that.
It. There you
well,
go.
Well done. Segue
Yes.
to Norm. 3 points, 4 yards.
Norm is the official segue of Tested.com.
So if you haven't seen this video, you got to watch it. Last week, we did the most incredible thing. We were afforded the opportunity to go pick up a
Go ahead. Finish.
a screen use Martian, a spacesuit from The Martian.
Could you tell which one it was?
There were. It's a hodgepodge, as many suits like this are after filming, right? Because really specifically, the company that makes them, I don't know how many FBFX made for The Martian, but I'm going to guess it's somewhere around 20.
Okay.
And that means they made 20 of everything, 20 helmets, backpacks, front packs, boots, gloves, everything.
And that includes the stuff that, like, the other cast members wore for the 10
Right,
minutes that
right.
they were on
So,
Mars.
and then they're making some that are different sizes for the different actors. But when it comes, by the end of filming, things have gotten mixed and matched because something broke and we got to replace this, and this actor's got bigger hands than we thought, or something, etc. So we know that it's definitely a Watney labeled helmet. Inside of the suit, it said stunt inside of one of the parts. Certainly, it might not have started as a stunt, but it might have ended as a stunt because it got broken. So it's fine just for a running shot, that kind of thing. But this is the kind of access I have never gotten from anybody.
From a
talked
studio,
about-
for
From
sure.
studio.
Yeah.
I've gotten it from Mike Elizalde at Spectral Motion when I was making my mecha hand. Guillermo del Toro and Mike hooked me up with everything I needed to know about that.
You've
and
gotten
that was,
access through collectors
yeah.
and
I've gotten access through
resellers
collectors,
of
and I've gotten
props.
access from my own collection, to be sure. But having a studio officially allow Frank and Norm and I to go to the studio, pick up a full screen used costume, take it away.
It felt like a heist. It really, that whole day. So
I mean, you
a
rolled up
little
the
bit of
panel van.
backdrop.
Will you post the pic? Frank sent me a picture of him driving his van with the huge crate in the back with this look on his face. And he's like, I have, what did he say?
It's like something's afoot.
No. God, it's an actual quote. I can't believe I can't remember it right now. It was...
When he texted you
Yeah.
the picture.
It
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Hold on. Where is it?
But while you pick it up, I'll give people a little background because we have a lot more content around
I
this.
have the football.
I have
That's
the
the
football.
picture.
That's right. I have.
We'll post this.
Yes. Send that text that to me so
Yeah.
I can post that. So we were reached out. We weren't paid for this, but we were reached out by a
Fox.
marketing agency working with Fox to promote the Blu-ray release, the digital release.
It was the same folks that got us into the preview screening?
No.
Okay,
It's
fine.
like
Okay.
Fox, the studio hires a bunch of different marketing agencies, and they wanted us to do a video with them. And our social media manager, Kristen Lamazzi, had the great idea to reach out and say, "Hey, let's ask for something we never could have asked for." And it's been in the works for a while, and it was up to the very last minute. The timing had to be perfect. You were down in LA that day. We did like an early morning flight. The suit had just come back from CES.
From
at
a
the-
display for
from a
Fox
display-
at
Oh.
CES.
at the
yeah.
GoPro booth. And so like the timing was perfect. Got in 4 p.m. the day before. We had basically one day with it. Drove in as early as possible. Beat LA traffic in Frank's big white van. Signed, signed my life away in a waiver.
He's carried some amazing stuff in that van. Over the
And then the three of us took the crate down and met Adam at Frank's shop. And then
It was so
it
cool.
was
It's a
cool.
beautiful piece of work. We covered this on the video. It's a gorgeous piece of work. FBFX, who are friends of mine out of England, who did all the suits for Prometheus and the suits for the Martian, among many other things. They've done Thor's armor. They're constantly busy because they do great stuff. The closer you get, the better it looks. It's like the level of detail is great. So I'm actually going to interview a couple of guys from there. We're going to post that up on the site.
You know, and a lot of people
That's unusual. Sorry, Norm. That's unusual. The closer you get, the better it looks with film props.
It is. But very specifically, I think Ridley Scott is very demanding and wants to be able to put his camera wherever he wants. And they totally rose to the occasion. I mean, when you look really close, even the little tiny stickers have like data on them that's not just bullshit data. There's actually stuff there.
It's a logic in that
Yeah.
world, and you can tell that the makers of FBFX, the suit makers, they cared for the story the suit was going to tell.
Well, yeah.
And a lot of people ask on YouTube, like, why couldn't you just reach out to them and buy a suit? And they don't understand when productions end, that's it. It's intellectual property. It belongs to Fox. You know, the production, Ridley or whoever decides.
Oh, people were wondering that?
Yeah.
No. So if like when I was doing special effects, and I did a lot of commercial work out of my shop, it would only take one producer to hear that I surreptitiously gave a piece of gear that I'd built for a commercial to someone else to copy. Look,
It's career ending.
It's not always career ending, but it certainly is. Like if I knew someone that did that for something. Look, when you have intellectual property, you want the people you hire who build and work on that to protect it. So no effects company is ever going to let you have that thing. That's just not going to happen. It has to come through official channels. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of places in which stuff gets auctioned, and that's one of the ways in which the RPF members and I all get that kind of stuff, get that kind of data. But as for reaching out directly to the effects company, they have no interest in helping you on that.
And
front.
so the studios have and there's other ways to get stuff too. So for example, we went to the Hand Prop Museum a few years ago where they rent stuff out for that's not bespoke for a film. So for example, if Quentin Tarantino wants a pipe for a film, he'll call Hand Prop and look at 55 pipes and pick the one that he wants for Christoph Waltz's character or
big
whatever.
meerschaum, for instance.
Exactly.
It's
something
incredible
subtle.
because the people who run those companies, they spend their entire lives shopping basically for things that they feel like, based on their experience, could work for these directors or for these studios, for these films.
When you're an actor and you're playing someone who's married, someone comes over to you with a box of like 40 wedding rings in it and says, which one feels like your character would wear it?
And especially method actors who want to completely embody the character, even things that never make it on screen, what will be in their pockets. They'll pick out things.
And
just to put in their
Tarantino's prop
pockets.
masters are all very much about that. I talked to Sam Levine from Freaks and Geeks. I talked to him about this because he was in Inglourious Bastards, and he was like, all of our pockets were full of all this ancient money and matchbooks and stuff you never saw.
And it's like a weird Midas touch because the moment that Tarantino or the actor decides it's going to be in the film, the value of that object, both from a historical perspective and a monetary perspective, just balloons.
Yeah.
Well, but things do get out in the real world because the studio frequently does auctions, right?
Sure.
So they have only so much space in the warehouse.
They do auctions, and sometimes directors have stuff destroyed at the end of films. Kubrick was famous for that.
Sometimes directors keep stuff at the end of films, whether they buy it
Absolutely.
themselves
Or executives, high executives with the company will get key pieces. That's how Maltese Falcon made it around. It was given to William Conrad by the studio. Those absolutely. There are many other channels in which stuff becomes available, and frankly, for the longest time, Hollywood itself didn't value the props very much.
That's a story that's told over and over again across all mediums, right? For a long time, early NES cartridges were really, really expensive, and then as people who grew up with the NES got old, nostalgia kicked in, and all of a sudden they get the
right.
market
But this
goes up
isn't
for that
just
stuff.
straight nostalgia to me. It's also about the history. You know, when Debbie Reynolds built her incredible collection of costumes, she bought all that stuff for a song because no one gave a crap about it.
Yeah.
And that's to me really sad. And now the Academy is building a museum next to LACMA. We were actually at LACMA last weekend, and we watched some of the destruction happening. It was very fun.
Oh, cool.
I felt like I was living my old job watching a big earth-moving machinery take apart a building.
One of the best One of the best ways to spend an afternoon is if you can find a bar that faces a building getting demolished. Just sit down, have some beers, watch the guys with the jackhammers on the end of excavators work on it.
It was great.
We did that during what was it? It was
South
the
by
Bitcoin
Southwest.
video, right? Yeah.
So,
Anyway.
for the Martian suit, this is all by way of I'm going to make a Martian suit. I'm going to make a Martian suit, put it in my collection, and with the reference that we've now got, and we're going to use some amazing tools in addition to taking pictures with color charts and rulers and measuring and taking notes. We also did photogrammetry.
Yep.
And Norm was just showing me some of the preliminary photogrammetry extractions of the data that we've gotten. It looks pretty darn
super
good.
cool.
You can get amazing stuff out of that.
I'm really, really excited about starting to 3D print some of this stuff and starting to do paint treatments. Frank has found one of the cool things about the Martian suits, always how to make something look weathered is difficult. That was I'm talking like Yoda.
Yeah.
Always difficult it is to weather of
Something
things.
look like.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Especially for something that's not of this earth, right?
And so the one of the reasons it looks really great is that all the corners are worn away and it's metal underneath. But it's not metal underneath. The original props are made in a resin that is then vacuum metallized with a chrome plate, effectively a chrome plate, and then painted over that.
Oh, wow.
And the paint doesn't stick incredibly well to the chrome, so they've peeled it off at the edges. And as it gets dinged, it just looks more and more realistic.
Which
Oh,
is like
that's awesome.
actually doing real weathering as opposed to just dry brushing the edges with paint.
Right.
Which is what traditionally people. I mean, all the processes. I mean, you've been removed from working day to day in special effects for a decade now, but some of the things you're like, oh, we did that back then, and they still do it now. But then through your special effects friends, they're always introducing new techniques.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a really cool paint chip technique that we used at ILM, which I loved, which is if you want to make the paint look like it's chipped, you always want more than one color. And I've talked about this in weathering. Extra colors lend this layering. But like, let's say you've got a corner of something and you want it to look like the paint's chipped off that corner. So then the question is, what's under the paint? So you figure, okay, the base is metal. So then you don't just paint metal where the chip was. You actually paint gray where the chip was, and then you paint metal inside the gray, leaving a small edge of the gray, and then what you see is metal primer paint. Even though those two colors, the gray and the silver, are painted on top of the paint job, as soon as you see it, your eye makes the leap, and it looks three-dimensional in the other way. And it's really, really cool. And you can get fantastic techniques. If you ever see the Magic of Myth exhibit, which is in LA right now,
I'm not sure.
I can't remember where it is, but if you see one of the Magic of Myth exhibits that Lucasfilm has going around, or at Celebration, see some of the original Star Wars ships, you'll see this technique used repeatedly because it's so effective.
That's
It's like an optical illusion.
Yeah, it is.
very cool.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about starting work on the Martian suit.
So by telling people this, though, you're going to
I
burn it
have
as
no
a
idea how to
Comic-Con.
deal. I have no idea how to deal with that aspect.
Yeah. you need to make a half dozen, send out 6 people at once. and-
Maybe I get
Yeah.
because now I've got all the spacesuits set up over there. I've got my Mercury, I've got the Nagata Apollo, I've got the 2001, I've got the alien suit. The Martian suit belongs over there. I have a couple of other spacesuits I'm interested in replicating this year,
Okay.
and some other armor that I'm playing around with. As far as an incognito with the Martian suit, that may just not be possible because it's going to be a very high profile build.
There we go.
This is actually a problem we've run into before, is that sometimes my builds are incredibly labor intensive and suck up a lot of time, and we can't be covering them and posting the stuff to test it because we're hiding it for
Yeah.
But we got more cons this year.
Yes,
So
there's more
more
cons,
opportunities.
and you're not just building that. There are things you're building that we're not talking about.
Yep.
So you gotta look forward to that.
Maybe you'll secretly be at cons that people won't know you're at, and then show
Oh,
up.
it's true. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right. Yeah. That could also happen.
Okay. Cool. I guess that's as good a place as any to wrap it up. Norm, anything to plug on the tested side?
No, that's you got to watch that video. We'll have a lot more from that in the next month or so, but it's an ongoing process.
I assume that's going to be a fairly labor-intensive, long build, right?
It is. There are so many parts and bits and pieces to this suit. It is not just front pack, backpack, helmet, and suit and boots. That's like 9 parts or something.
Get your GoPros already?
It is. There's hundreds of parts to this. Okay. So, and everyone needs the lists are starting to be made. It's a
Excellent.
long and involved thing, which for me personally is one of my singular pleasures in life. But you all knew that.
We'll be back next week with more Still Untitled. See you guys then.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.